All right, we are back today. This is the first in the series of Talk to the Experts. It's a web series that we can all use a little bit of information basically during this time of crisis. And today's episode in the series is one that I'm really excited about. Today I'm talking to Lisa Van Reewyk and Likky Lavji, and I'll be introducing them in a moment and talking about these amazing people, and especially for business people. So this is all about what should we be thinking about? How should we be? Like, what direction should we be facing actually? And what should our mindset be as business people in this crisis? We don't know how much longer we have in this crisis and what we need to do to stay afloat, whether in business or whether it's just about our mindset. All right. So today we're not going to be able to stream live, and that's okay. But this is going to be available for replay on YouTube, and I'm pretty excited about that. So hi, Lisa and Likky. Good to have you guys today. Just make sure that everything is good. I am going to introduce Lisa first. Okay. Obviously, right? So Lisa is driven to support people to speak with grace and confidence at every table in their life, from the corporate boardroom to their own kitchen table. Since 2009, business owners and professionals they've been hiring Lisa Van Reewyk to show them how to make more money, have fun, I love that part, and cultivate meaningful change in their lives. Her superpowers include extracting and showcasing the brand's secret ingredients, then teaching them how to create eye contact online while building more profitability into their business model. Lisa works as an executive and business coach, mastermind facilitator, workshop leader, speaker, and blogger. She's a mom of 2 girls, and she's been doing yoga since 1993. She has fused her passion in life into her work, specializing in coaching business owners in health and wellness related industry. Hi, Lisa, you're welcome today.
Oh, thanks, Caroline. I'm so just so grateful you invited me here today, and really looking forward to our chat.
Awesome. I am looking forward to it too. And I'm going to talk about Likky in a moment. So Likky is known as the blind spot navigator. I love that. Likky Lavji is passionate, is candid in nature, engages audiences with his resonating message about leadership and organizational potential to power performance. As an executive business coach and keynote speaker, Likky has worked with many leading enterprises such as Lenovo Canada, the Royal Bank of Canada, Canadian Cancer Society, and the Vancouver Airport Authority. Businesses and executives have recognized Likky for his ability to break through personal and organizational barriers, for his innovative approach to leadership, innovation, and conduct in business. Bob Berg, the national best-selling author of The Go-Giver, refers to Likky as a transformational keynote speaker, teaching audiences a fresh new perspective on how to create your brand, customer loyalty, and profitable business. Be ready to be moved and inspired with a unique perspective on how to achieve greater outcomes. I feel like my mind is going like boom with both of you being together here today. I feel like people should just be ready for the time of their lives. All right, welcome, Likky. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on board. It's truly my pleasure.
Awesome. So let's talk first of all about your overview of what is happening right now as far as business owners go, as far as even from your experiences. What have you seen? How much change have you seen in the last, now it's about 45 weeks since the lockdown began? Let's start with you, Lisa. What have you seen, and how much change has there been?
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of change. I'm talking privately with coaching clients regularly, plus obviously what I'm reading online. And I have people crying in coaching sessions, and I have other people that are absolutely thriving and their business is taking off. So right now it really depends on what industries you're in, and also how you've been managing your cash flow. You know, if you're coming into this period and you are already maxing out your credit and getting ready for your busy season, you know, this is a time where it's really easy to give in to the fear, whether you're consuming the news all day long or not, or you're just experience that collective fear that is out there that's affecting everyone. It's a tough time for a lot of people out there. But then I have other clients that are like, I've never been more excited. You know, you see those memes out there talking about Mother Nature giving us a timeout.
Yeah.
I totally agree. We are getting a huge timeout, and we deserve it. We've been very naughty, and we're getting a long one. And so for some people, and me, I'm really excited for this period of self-reflection, because a lot of people, I think we're like the seasons, but as a society, we don't take winter.
That's right.
We don't do winter very well. And right now it might be spring, but we are getting our hibernation and our winter. And I really encourage people to start thinking about, what are you not going to go back to? What are you really enjoying about this time? What does true profitability mean for your business? Which isn't just money in the bank. It's, loving what you do, loving how you do it. And what may have seemed riskier before is now just simply necessary for the survival of your business. So I think people need to understand this isn't going to change anytime soon. And that when we get back to driving in our cars and going to work, that it's not going to be like it was before, that there's going to be changes, and we need to be even more innovative as entrepreneurs, even more creative, and even more in tune with what really matters to us and our brand, and generous. Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of everything out there.
Right. Absolutely. And I agree with you, Lisa. Like, we don't really know this is one thing we really don't have much control about, right? But doing the things that we have control about, and I guess we're going to be talking about some of those things today as business owners. So, Likky, what have you been saying? What have the changes been like?
It's been an interesting 4 weeks for sure. I think about, I mainly speak around trust and vulnerability, and I go into organizations to get them to start being a little bit more vulnerable within the organization, especially the executives. It's always a challenge to do that. In the last 4 weeks, I've never seen so much more vulnerability come out than ever. So in my opinion, that is a shift that we needed in some of the organizations. That vulnerability alone is going to help them bring things out. I had a conversation with a client on Monday, and I go to him, I said, so how are you doing? I know he laid off 25% of his employees last week. I said, how are you doing? What's going on? And he goes, we're just really busy, and I'm just trying to grasp what's happening right now. I go, great. I said, well, what's happening to those 25% of the employees you let go? How are they doing? He goes, I haven't even had a chance to call them yet. And I just had to step back for a second. I said, I appreciate that you're busy running a business right now, but those people that you've let go need you more now than ever before. Remember, they're at home. They're probably looking for work as well.
Yeah.
So you need to build a relationship stronger with those people so that they come back to you when it's ready. My creative mind went nuts last week, and I had to come up with some kind of way of getting people out of this funk, as I call it. And I love dealing with people's BS, and you can call it blind spot, or you can call it whatever you want, but it is BS. And it's all about mindset shifting. So I came up with the acronym SALSA. We all love to dance. We all like to get loose and dance, right? So the S stands for the shock. We were all in shock the first week and a half. We didn't know what hit us. The week after that was the awe, the A in the salsa. We were in awe, we're in despair, we're in fear. But last week was all about the leadership, all about leading. How are you leading out of this whole program? How are you leading your team? How are you leading your emotions? And then this week, it's supposed to be about the systems. What systems are you putting in place to think about what's going to change coming in the future? We don't know what the future looks like. We don't know what normal is going to look like. But what systems do you need to be working on? I have my own COVID list, which is right here. This is stuff that I had to do myself that I never get a chance to do. So I've got my own list happening. But what systems are people putting in? But the A is the most important. The A in the salsa is act like it's going to be over in 2 weeks. Pretend you have everything ready. Your emotions are set up. Your employees are set up. You know how to get your business back. Pretend it's going to be done in 2 weeks. We don't know how long it's going to be. We don't know it's going to be 2 weeks or 8 weeks or 2 months. But if you pretend it's going to be ready in 2 weeks, then you're ready for it. Then you can start pivoting really easily. So that mindset shifting has really working with some of the people I'm talking to. They're open to that conversation now. The first 2 weeks, it was all about, let's just sit here and listen to you. Like Lisa said, the tears, the vulnerability really showed up. but now they're looking at different things, changing business models.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an extrovert and I love going out and meeting people. But last week I had 40 Zoom meetings. And I had to sit back and realize that was a really productive week. And when I go in person, I never get that.
That's right.
So I'm also having to shift in looking at how I do things. I'm a speaker. Conferences are done. They're gone for a little while. We don't know what's going to happen.
No.
So imagine sitting in Zoom and doing a conference over Zoom. So I've got 2 of those coming up this week.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of mindset shifting for a lot of people.
Yeah. I feel you. I'm in it's exactly the same boat. I had all these great workshops and speaking gigs lined up, and some of them are happening on Zoom, but it took a few weeks because I just have to say, I love your salsa acronym, because I like to say in life, we want to be salsa dancing through life.
Yeah.
We want that energetic point to move forward with. And it's hard for a lot of people right now. But instead of just saying, oh, all of my workshops are done, I've had to get more creative and more innovative and said, well, I can do this online, and I can use breakout rooms on Zoom calls, etc. And
right.
Yeah. It is nice to see all the vulnerability coming out.
That's right. And I feel like that's one of the things that as business owners, we don't really excel at. Like, we excel at our business, but being vulnerable and just being in that place where you're like, I need to figure out what to do. I need people to help me. Yeah. Business owners, for the most part, we're like a type people, just, getting things done. But it's also the part where it brings out the human in us,
Yes.
and connecting with people. And I think if there's one thing that this is going to teach us more, even though we're physical distancing, is how much we are indeed connected to people, and how much it is very important to stay connected, and how much that connection is really, really what sustains us. And I feel like there's going to be so many new words added to the dictionary in a new way this year. Social distancing, physical distancing is definitely one of them. So is pivoting. You hear that every time. Now I'm almost like, okay, if I hear that word one more time, I'm going to go focus. But yeah, and like you guys said, it's all about that mindset, But I want to ask both of you, and let's start with Likky this time. Like you said, with the salsa acronym, there's just a lot of emotions, people just going through all of this anxiety from, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, to, oh my gosh, I need to act, I need to do something. But how do you really stay clear? How do you have pointers on how you can really build that clarity and make sure that even though you're going through all this emotional roller coaster, you're still able to kind of forge ahead and have that mindset of what you should be doing right now?
Well, I think Lisa put it really easily. It's the Mother Nature telling us it's a reset time. And we as human beings have been so accustomed to being in action and doing things all the time, just for the sake, because we had to keep up with the Joneses. We built up our lifestyle to do this, to have that, to do this, and get to the next level. And now you're at the state where nothing matters. Like, all 3 of us on this call are exactly the same people right now. We're all going through the exact same thing. There's no differentiator in any of us, not only in the 3 of us, but in our cities, in our country, in the world. We're all experiencing the exact same thing.
Yes.
The only thing you can really work on right now is you.
Yes.
If you can start getting into some self-care and really understanding where you are, what you need. I've been asking people this question this whole week, and we're in the spot. It was forced upon us. What did you learn from it? What have you realized? What's the most important thing to you? And how are you going to shift the future based on that importance? Or are you going to forget that when things start happening again, and you're going to go chasing that next dollar again?
Yeah.
This is that reset that we needed.
Yep.
But we're afraid to look at it that way. So if there's only one thing that I can ask, and I recommend, is start looking at some self-care, meditation, some time for yourself, learning, some EQ, some emotional intelligence about yourself, how you show up in the world. Start looking at those things, because that's what's going to make a shift. If you think about how things are going to shift, it's going to be more of this. It's going to be more of this virtual connections as opposed to physical connections. And if we need trust, and we talked about vulnerability like earlier, but it's a trust that we need to build. When you're in person, it's easy to build that trust. You can see from body language and their emotions and see what's going on. This is very difficult. So we need to build that vulnerability-based trust, and not that trust of, I know that I want to get that business. Forget about that. It's about, I need to build this relationship. And it's a relationship in business. It's a relationship in personal lives as well. And that all comes from the self-awareness part of it as well. So I hope that makes sense.
It does, absolutely. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Well, I loved everything that you said. Yeah, I feel like we are going about our lives with our foot just fully on the gas pedal all the time. And now that we're home, and that was that shock period where people, my mind wanted to blow out my ears when I was reading all these posts. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have all this time. You can get curious about anything you want right now. Like, what do you mean you're bored? Like, I get you can't do the things. So as a business owner, this is an opportunity to understand that consumer habits are changing. It's really hard to get consumers. Like, I know grocery stores is a big one. People are used to going to their normal market on their commute home. So when people's habits change, it's an amazing opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity for businesses to grow their brand and get new consumers. But I'm also hearing a lot about, people are traumatized right now. This is a traumatic period. Stop telling us to, create a new online course or get in shape or this or that. And I'm like, well, people need something to do, especially if they have a tendency to feel isolated or depressed. So I agree. Like, use that time to be reflective. I am doing way more meditation. I normally have a morning meditation practice of 10 to 20 minutes with a few longer ones. And now it's flipped. I'm doing like an hour meditation in the morning. I'm doing more yoga. I'm running with my daughter. I'm using that time because if I just sit around the house, I'm going to get depressed. My body's going to get tight. It's not good for my immune system. Producing endorphins is really good for our brains as business owners. So I want people to start their day on purpose. Research shows that we have a finite amount of willpower. So whether you're working on your business, whether you're working on yourself, please do it in the morning. There's a huge difference between just filling up a to-do list. You want to be effective with your time, not just efficient. So I want you to think like you can do less right now, but do what really matters. And the people piece, this is a time to really be generous with people and build community. Like, for example, those gyms out there that were saying, hey, here, I'm going to come by your house and drop off some equipment so you can work out from home while this is going on. Do you think those people are going to be loyal and go back to that gym when this is over? Of course they are. So really a good time to be generous. And yeah, I think just it's a time for clarity. I'm a deep person. So I love that all of this is going on right now. And I think people just need to say, like, what do I want? What do I want to do with my time? Because we're so used to just going and doing what we think we need to do. Why not get more focused on what really matters to me? What's true profitability for me? What do I want my life and business to be like? And what do I need to do to create that? Because if we can create those new habits right now, when we have all this extra space, we have a much higher chance of keeping those habits when we do go back to moving around. Yeah,
absolutely. And I agree with that. And both of you, what you said really kind of actually resonates. It's self-care, like Likky said, a lot of that, just taking out that time for yourself. For some people it's meditation. I love meditation. And for some people it could be something else, but whatever that looks like for you, just being able to take out that time, carving out that time, and making sure that your attention is on that and using that like as a springboard to be able to do other things. And Lisa, I know you're very, very, very good with this, and Likky as well. What tips can you share for people right now on staying focused? Like, I know that's another issue that people have, especially because we're all together, right? You have kids at home, you have the usual distractions. The distractions that we have now are probably not what we used to have before, right? So how can we stay focused so that even when we have those moments of inspiration and when we have those moments of being effective with our to-do list, we're not we're managing the distractions properly?
Who do you want to go first?
Lisa, you go
Oh,
first.
okay, I'll go first. Well, back to the willpower in the morning, I'd say get your focused work done in the morning. So especially if you have kids at home, which so many people do. So the good news is there's this general understanding we're all working from home with kids. So I love how that old video circling around the BBC correspondent with the kids running in the background and the nanny.
The guy is a superhero now. It's like, this is what I told you guys years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just life. So I love that there's a understanding out there for that, but please do your focus work in the morning. Have the self-discipline to know, okay, my kids wake up at 7 or 6:30. You got to get up earlier. You know, you have to look at what's in front of you and be realistic. So I would say short bursts of work, just short bursts of work. I'm find people are settling in more now, again, in line with your SALSA acronym. In the beginning, the focus was really difficult. It's getting a bit easier now. I think there's less panic that the groceries aren't going to be stocked with food, or we're not going to be able to put gas in our cars. All those things have settled down. So definitely short bursts of work. An app that I have most of my clients use, if you go into your app store, whether you're on Android or Apple, search Focus Keeper. You can get a free timer app, and you can even adjust it. It's called the Pomodoro technique. A lot of people have used it. The idea when it was designed in the 80s was that we couldn't concentrate on anything for more than 20 minutes at a time, which is probably way less now, right? but use a timer. It kind of holds you accountable, and you can say, okay, I need to work on, like, maybe you need to review all your contracts and obligations and figure out like what's on the line here. Or maybe you need to sit down and really look at all your numbers. Like, okay, how much money have I got coming in? What's in the bank? How long can I sustain this at this current rate? When do I need to start implementing some new revenue streams? That's important. So set aside, okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to set aside 20 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it is you need, in the 20-minute chunks of time. And that way you're moving forward. You can feel good about it and you can build on it. And again, that exercise, like if you're exercising, your whole body will be functioning better.
That's right.
I've worked with dozens and dozens of incredible, tenacious, savvy leaders, and my clients that like just are in the zone, they are exercising every day and they have a morning routine. Those things fill up our tank so that we can, because you can't give it if you don't have it inside of you. So I would also say get inspired. It's a great time to start listening to a new podcast, or, we're spending way more time on the screen, like grab a physical book, get a book and read something, get some good ideas flowing, and journaling's a great idea, but short bursts of time. And please just take all the pressure off of you. This is a new beginning. Nobody knows how to do this. So there's no use in shaming yourself or being hard on yourself. I believe we are all just doing the best that we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I was talking to my husband the other day. It was actually yesterday. So we're both working from home now, and we have a little one. She's 3.5. Oh my gosh, she wants attention all day. Like if she could have us all day, it would be the best thing. And it was one of those moments yesterday when he was in a meeting, I was in a meeting, and sorry, but she was watching TV, okay? and then, but she just wanted mama, dad. And then so she would creep into each person's meeting. And at the end of the day, it got to a point where she just had a total meltdown in between our meetings, right? And then we were feeling so bad with ourselves, like, really, what should we be doing? We should have been giving our attention, but we needed to be working too. And we just came to the conclusion, like, we just analyzed the whole day, and we were like, we were really doing the best we could with what we had. And honestly, I feel like that alone just helps you to relieve the pressure and take off that pressure. Like, it's not going to be as perfect as you think it's not utopia right now, right? It's not going to be as perfect as you think it should be, but everyone is mostly understanding. Like the moments when she came into my call with my client, my client was understanding. She actually said hi to
Absolutely.
her. She played with
Yeah.
her, and like, okay, it's pretty nice. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, awesome.
And
So
I just, before I let Likky
yeah,
go, I would say no TV shaming for parents with young kids. Don't do
thank
it.
you. I
Don't
need
even do it.
that.
They're learning stuff. Maybe they're learning how to count. My kids will watch like Wild Kratts from PBS. They're
Yeah,
learning about animals.
yeah,
Everyone's winning. Like
that's right.
no shaming for the TV right now.
Okay, I'm gonna drop that shaming for
Yeah,
myself. Yeah,
please
I
do.
guess that's where
Please
it
do.
starts.
I got it.
Yeah,
So
that's a great answer, and I appreciate you saying that. You know, you started the question by saying, "How do people focus?
Mhm.
Stay focused on the day, right?" Well, I disagree. I don't think you need to stay focused. Just focus on yourself first.
Okay.
Focus on who you are, and at least you said this. It's the exact same thing as me. Is that start your morning with your routine, and then do what you need to do. I'm not a to-do list, task list type of guy. I'm a promise list type of guy. What
Mm.
do I promise for the day? What do I need to create for the day? What am I going to achieve for the day? I feel more motivated when I do that as opposed to knocking off a bunch of tasks. That's very mundane and routine for me, so I don't want to do that. But the short burst of work that you said, yes, 90 minutes. I only have one alarm set here. It's for every 90 minutes, get out of my office, go upstairs, sit on turn on the TV, watch news, or go for a walk or do something. But off my desk for 90 minutes for 30-minute sections. And that keeps me going. Now, mind you, I'm in my office a lot longer in the day now because I'm taking those longer breaks. But I can because I've got the energy to do it. So the focus should be right now is on yourselves, your employees, and your customers. All the stuff you had to do, you're going to have some time to do it. Don't worry. It'll get done. But focus on building the relationships, focus on building self-awareness in yourself, and then worry about the little things you had to get done. And interesting enough, my COVID list, it was about 3 pages long before. When I started really realizing I didn't need half those things done. You know, I had one task that I allocated to my assistant, and then she was doing it. And I had to think about it. I said, you know what? We don't even need to do this. Why are we even bothering? It's not important. So start focusing on what's really important. What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And even a lot more than, focusing on task, I believe at this time, and I think we've alluded to that a little bit in the conversation, this time is really going to help us to focus on behaviors. It's going to help us to focus on life patterns and things that are really important to us. I mean, when things were normal for some people, it could have been, our normal is to go to the grocery store every morning at 7:30. You know what I mean? And right now it's like everything is pretty much routine. So it really wasn't a thing. We just thought it was, right? So right now it's going to be a lot more and focusing on what's important and realizing that some things were just nice to have, really, and not really that important in our lives. And I'm kind of liking that as well. But let's talk about.
Sorry, Carolyn, before you continue, I have one
Yes,
more thing. We've talked a lot about self-care, but one of the biggest things I forgot to mention is gratitude. Having gratitude for what's important in your life, what you're dealing with on an ongoing basis is huge. I went through an exercise. I love my coffee. I'm a real coffee snob, right? And I have these coffee pods. And one morning when I was doing my gratitude list, I went through an exercise and said, I wonder how many people's lives were affected for me to get this cup of coffee here. And it ended up being close to 2,000 people.
Wow.
For that little pod.
Wow.
Now, when I had that cup of coffee, it means so much more to me now. So that self-awareness and the gratitude is what the focus for me is, especially. So sorry to interrupt.
That was a good point. Thanks for interrupting me on that. That was, we needed to hear that. And I love that. Like, we've taken so many things for granted. Like like we drink coffee every morning or tea or whatever that yours is, but there's so many things like that, The other day I had a client and she's a truck driver, and she was talking about her lifestyle as a truck driver. She basically drives the groceries that we just go up and pick up on the store. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, we just go to the grocery store and we just shop. But look at all the things that these guys go through to get all those things into the store. I'm like, you never really think about it from other people's perspective. Things just appear you know, and you go do your own part of it. But so many things, so many people, you know, make all these things happen. And I love that position of gratitude to just be more thankful for the things that we have. Okay, so what I was going to talk about, or what I was going to kind of pivot us to start talking about, is one of the things that's really causing a lot of anxiety in business people right now. Of course, it's money. Okay. The financial implication of what's going on right now. Of course, we cannot ignore the fact that while all of this is happening, while we are looking at the positives of everything that's happening right now, there is some financial implication, there is some economic implications to this. And I believe I don't know if it's been declared or not, we're pretty much in a recession, right? Or we are entering a recession, or maybe it's a depression, whatever name they give it, all right? How can businesses survive? What should we really be doing? How can businesses be survive, or even possibly thrive, if there's a chance for that in this season? What should we really be doing? Likky, can you take that away?
Oh boy, you don't want to hear my answer on this one. What I've really been working with my connections, my clients, is get your own house in order first. Look at your own financial situation at home. Make sure you're taken care of. Make sure you're working with your employees and being in connection with the employee to see what they need to do. There's plans available for employees. There's plans available for companies, right? We know that. But a lot of my clients, just like all of us, we care so much about our employees and our families that we don't want to let them go. But the longer we hold on to that, because we know the revenues are stopping. I mean, come on, restaurants are closed. There's revenue. There's going to be a revenue hit for every single industry. If your revenue is hit and you still want to feed your employees just because you care about them a lot, and there's nothing wrong with caring, but if you keep this longer, you're not going to have anything for them to come back to, because you're going to have to close your doors down. So you have to be really prudent in that decision process. When do I need to make that conversation happen? But that conversation doesn't have to be a tough conversation. It can just be bring them into the office and say, look, this is a situation. What do we need to do? We have subsidies available. This is where we're at. I want to make sure that we're all coming back into an organization. Now, the second part of this is, I think, Lisa, you brought this up earlier, is if you're already in cash crunch and you went into this situation, it's going to get worse. You know, if you're going into this in debt and you're getting more into debt, close your doors. Close your doors.
Get
you're
in
not
front
coming
of
back
it.
out of this, okay. Just walk away, take a deep breath. There's no shame in it. Rebuild something else after the fact. Because if you keep on going to your ego and trying to look good, that looking good is going to cost you for a lifetime coming out of this thing. We all know how hard it is to earn $1,000. Forget about $100,000 in this economy. So I know it's a tough way of answering that question, but it's a bit of a reality check as well.
I just want to say at this point that one of the real reasons that I have both of you together in this particular series is the first one, that is, there's going to be two powerhouses together, is because I know that you both bring, you both come from two kind of, I'm thinking two light beams coming together, and talking from two different perspectives. Likky, you work with a lot of corporations, and I know that, Lisa, you work with businesses too, but I feel like you work with a lot of self-employed people as well. So I love that. I love that can come together, and we can kind of take from both angles and see, you know, how that really works. So Lisa, from the perspective of small business owners, from the perspective of self-employed people, how can their businesses survive?
Yeah, well, to piggyback off of what Likky was saying, you know, it's a time of survival. So you are better off to have less jobs, but the people that have jobs have better jobs. And so you don't want your company to have to close right now. So you really want to get in front of things right now. I'd say it's a time to really again, that's a theme for me in this, is be reflective, get clear on what matters to you in your business and what you need to do. What do you need to say online for your business so people know, oh, okay, people are online 24/7 now. The searches for things are completely different. What do you need to tell people so they know you're still in business, what you're offering, what you're doing, how you're being safe? And so important, yeah, again, what you were saying, like taking care of your people, the people that work for you and your customers. Yeah, I love working with very small businesses. When I started my business, I worked for larger organizations because I came from broadcast television and that was my network. But when I pivoted my business years ago, I love having that seat at the table with the decision maker, because those bigger organizations are kind of like a tanker ship out in the bay. You're turning the wheel and you're turning the wheel, but you're not going anywhere. And so right now, these very small business owners have an advantage where they can make these pivots and changes and implement them right away. So if you're in that space right now, it's looking at, what are you doing? What can you leverage and what can you green light? A lot of them don't even have a lot of expenses that they can cut, but I want people to really look at community and building community and generosity right now. If you want to survive this and thrive, the seeds that you plant right now are so important. If you look at organizations or government bodies that aren't being supportive, they are getting blackballed, right? And the organizations that got in front of this and were being generous and helpful, their online credibility and authority is skyrocketing. So I just really encourage you to get so much clarity on what matters to you in your business, the path you want to forge forward, and cut back expenses wherever you can. I mean, a lot of our expenses are down. We aren't going to the grocery store 6 days a week, right? And we're not, it's cruel that gas is so cheap right now and nobody needs it. Like, what is that all about?
That's a whole different topic on its own, right? Like, how did gas just come down that much?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, I had a
Saudi
double
Arabia.
whammy. I just bought a hybrid because
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to save money on gas. I'm actually putting no money on gas. I'm not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. So, and then I also invite, if you've got to reinvent how you're delivering services right now. I have a client, they're quite expensive to hire. And I was like, what can you do that's just got a lower price point? You're not decreasing your profitability and offering services, but you're allowing new customers to engage your services, and actually getting them in the door. Also, back to that mindset piece, if you like to read and you're into that kind of personal professional development, I strongly recommend Dr. Susan Dweck's Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And the idea is, right now we can easily as business owners say, oh gosh, it's terrible. There's nothing I can do. I'm going to go bankrupt. This is it. Or we can get curious about it, like Michael Jordan did when he got cut from his high school varsity team. No one was going to tell him his basketball days were over, right? It's our job to get even more curious about how we can make it work. It's not just about how do I move forward. It's what do I need to change to move forward? So it's our job to be like, call upon ourselves to be the leaders we were born to be. If you are in this business and you know that it's like, this is your calling, there's nothing else you need to be doing, now is the time to get so clear on what that means to you and how to engage people and move it forward.
I love what you said about change, Lisa, because that's one of the things that's going on right now. Just lots of changes everywhere, which people are now really don't really like. It's really hard for people to change sometimes, but something this huge is making us all change, and we have to do it. So talking about change and talking about the word pivot for product-based businesses, for service-based businesses, it might look slightly different for both, and it might be the same depending on what ideas you have. But how should we be changing in a way that serves us, that serves our clients right now? In what ways should we be thinking? What should we be thinking about in terms of pivoting? And what steps can we take to actually, make it happen, whether we're a product-based business or a service-based business? For some people, there are fast moving consumer goods type business. For some people, they're pretty boutique and custom, whatever that might look like for us, all of us in this landscape. What are the steps that we should be taking? Lisa, can you take that away?
Sure. Well, steps you should be taking is, it's a great time to brainstorm with your team. I love playing games like, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we could all go back to work? Wouldn't it be nice? Like, get together, let everybody have a voice. Writing it down makes it real. Taking all the pressure off of yourself. It goes back to that you were saying there's so much change going on right now, and we need to be kind to ourselves. It's triggering anxiety. As the human species, we are not wired biologically for change. So there's a lot of uneasiness that comes with this. And if it feels comfortable, well, it means you've already done it. So looking at all your resources, all your obligations, what do you need to do in your business if the reality is doing business online? If this is going through another 2 months, another 3 months, another 6 months, or if this is what we're going to do for the next flu season next year because a vaccine hasn't come out. Look at what really matters to you. You've got to get really clear, because if you are only thinking, okay, this has got to end soon, it's going to get back to normal, because the reality, those dollars on the line, you don't like what's coming. Unfortunately, that's not going to turn out so well for you.
Absolutely. That's like bam on it. Like, you just gotta be thinking about it. Yeah. So Likky, what about you? What steps should we be taking to pivot now?
The biggest thing is changing your mindset. It is no longer about revenue. It's no longer about putting that extra profit into your pockets. It's more about, what do your customers need today? Yeah. Pivoting in an instant to make sure that happens. Lisa, you talked a little bit about steering that ship. You've got to pretend you're on a jet ski right now and just pivoting as each wave hits you. Whether you're a large organization or a small organization, you've got to pivot on an instant. But the biggest pivot I'm asking people to do right now is ask your customers, what do they need? Where are they going? What do they need so you can service them better? You may have to shift your offering totally. And if you can't shift your offering, you're going to have to rethink about where you're at. Because we don't know what the future looks like. We don't know where that is. We don't know what it is. But if you're serving for your customers, you'll find a way of serving your customers. And it's all about that right now. As far as I'm concerned, it's always been about giving, but now it's even more important about asking what's needed, as opposed to just giving what you can give.
Yeah.
Because, the three of us are sitting here. We have our own expertise that we can give, but our customers may not need our expertise. So we need to be the ones to shift.
I like that you, absolutely, Lisa. And I like that you started talking about the future, that future that we don't know right now. And we all wish we had a crystal ball that would tell us what it is going to be.
Well, actually, Carol, I think you do have a crystal ball. You know what's important right now. And if you don't know what's important right now, what you found, start looking at what's important to you right now. That has to be part of your future.
And that comes to my question, Likky, because I was going to ask about the future and how we should be planning for the future.
There you go.
So I'll just let you take it off from what you were talking about.
Yeah, I could read your mind and knew exactly where you were going with that one. Interesting enough, because we know what we know today and what we're learning. So imagine, for me, a priority right now has become shifting my focus on my family and self-aware. So whatever that future looks like for me, like last year, for example, for the months of October, November, December, I was in my own bed for only 9 days because I was traveling so much. Well, what I know now, I don't want to do that. No matter what happens, I don't want to do that. It's not important to me anymore. What's important for me is being at home. I'll do a couple of small trips here and there, but not big trips like that. So I know what the future looks like for me. I know the future is going to be more family and more time for myself. And that's the only future you can control, is what you know yourself. Right. What the economy is going to do, we don't know. But if you know more about what you're going to do and how you're going to manage yourself, you can shift and look at what the future can create.
Mm.
Have an open mind to create something new or different.
Mm.
But if it's all about money, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not
And
going
this
to
is the
happen.
reality check for everybody.
That's
No.
right. That's right.
True profitability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lisa, you mentioned that earlier, that
Yeah.
true profitability is not just about money. It's
No.
not just about counting the dollars that come into your pocket, right?
No.
So tell us about what we should be thinking about and how we can
Yeah.
make plans for the future from your perspective.
Well, thank you for asking me that. I have worked with so many educated, successful, interesting people, top of their field, and they come to me, they hire me, they're like, I did all the stuff and I'm not happy. I'm not happy. It's like sucks the soul out of them. And so this is a time where we all get to do that big pivot. I almost don't want to use the word pivot anymore because it's being used so much, but you get to align your life and your business with your heart and soul. What matters to you? Yeah, if you don't want to be on the road all the time, you don't have to do that anymore. What do you want to do? And as we look to the future as business owners, let's look at what can make us money and what can add to our lives. You know, like I lost my mom person, my aunt, 2 weeks ago. So I'm dealing with this huge loss amidst all of this just change and intensity, and have so much compassion for everyone. You know, when you go on Worldometer and you look at the numbers every day, every single number on there represents a person's life, people that care about them, a career, a legacy. And, you know, we've got to remember that there is a huge human side to what's going on right now. And I think the more we tap into what can we do moving forward that allows us to collaborate and cooperate at an even deeper level. You know, you can even look at the hoarding that was going on at the beginning and people be like, I need to take care of my family. What if instead we looked at our community and said, how do we best take care of each other? Isn't it a beautiful thing when somebody drops off a roll of toilet paper at your house and you leave out a little flower for them, right? Like, if we all take care of each other personally and professionally, we will come out of this stronger. And that is true profitability.
Oh, I love that. And I love the thought of coming together as a community. And I feel like that's really important at this time. And I love that we're kind of tearing it off on this note, you know, the importance of community, not just as individuals, not just as, you know, business owners, but as a part of the community that we actually serve. And I love that we're kind of finishing on this note. So Likky and Lisa, I'll just leave it to you both. What other resources do you think, or do you recommend for people that are listening right now to be able to stay on top of things or to just support them at this time? While you're talking, I'm going to actually put on the screen some of your links, both of you, and some of the resources that you're sharing. But I'll just love you both to just talk about that a little bit. Okay.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm up on the screen, so I'll start.
Okay.
I start most of my days off on Insight Timer. It's a free app, and there are all sorts of speakers on there. You can do meditation. You can they speak to anxiety. They have all these leaders that are posting content on there right now, dealing specifically with the pandemic. Insight Timer is a great one. I love How I Built This with Guy Raz. It's a great podcast. It's just interviewing all these entrepreneurs, so it's great for inspiration and stories. No one knows what they're doing all the time. For books, I think right now anything by Brené Brown is great. She dives into vulnerability, courage, and trust. I love the book by Marie Forleo, Everything is Figure-outable.
Right.
Love that word. Everything is figure-outable. We need that mindset right now. We can actually. We can figure this out. There's just so many things, but I'll leave it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. And Likky's got a free download, free networking toolkit as well, and a strategic roadmap for visioning on for your company. And I think we all need that as well. But Likky, just one final thing, any other resources that you think might be helpful to people to support them at this time?
You know, the biggest thing is if you can find a way for you to shut down in the mornings and not get right into your routine of your regular morning, just find a different way of being in the mornings. Just create a routine. And I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I started reading The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And it's probably a real life changer for me because it made me get up early. I wasn't a 5 a.m. type of guy person. I'd go to sleep at 2 in the morning. Couldn't get up at 5. But I started getting up at 5, and now I go to bed at 9. But that 5 a.m. gave me a routine to start off in the morning. And it's about meditation. It's about getting my heart rate up. It's about self-development. You know, the time that we're in right now, you need to know what's right for you. You need to know what's important to you. And it could be business. It could be a survival mode you're in. But just start to realize what's the important part of your day right now. What's the most important thing that you want. That's the only resource I have. And you know, we're here. I mean, I know Lisa is as well. We're here to guide our clients to whatever they need right now. And we're just here talking to people all day long. I know I'm sitting in front of my Zoom all day, just taking calls and helping people do this. So reach out. If you need a mindset shift, actually, if you don't even know what a mindset shift is, call me.
I think that's a good place to start. I want to thank both of you, Lisa and Likky, for taking the time to talk about this. I am so glad we're able to record all this, and it's going to be available for replay. I apologize. And I feel like everyone should be listening to this right now. Everyone should be listening to all these pointers. And I want to thank both of you for it. Thank you, Likky and Lisa, for coming.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Okay, so this is going to continue next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about digital marketing and marketing automation. I feel like this is the foundation for that as business owners, just changing our mindset and rethinking, and then talking about what steps we can actually be doing going forward. And then we'll be talking about brand visibility and, of course, everything employee benefits, contracts, and things that we should be looking at in terms of making sure that we're still staying legal, we're still doing things legally, and all that fun stuff. All right, I will see you next week. And thank you so much again, Lisa and Likky, for coming. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.